What if I told you that heartbreak isn't random? That when your heart is shattered, it's not because of some cruel twist of fate, but because you were playing a game you didn't even know existed. Imagine standing there, confused, broken, asking yourself why, while she already moved on without a second glance. The truth most men never grasp is that women don't just fall out of love, they shift based on how you make them feel. And unless you understand the game being played underneath the surface, you will always be at the mercy of emotions you can't control. Here's the brutal reality. The moment you start reacting, chasing, pleading, trying to understand her mind tricks through the lens of your feelings, you lose. You become the pawn in a silent psychological war you never prepared for. But what if there was a way out? A map to navigate through the chaos without losing yourself? That's where Stoic philosophy enters, the forgotten weapon of warriors, kings, and thinkers who refuse to be ruled by anything but their own mind. Stoicism isn't just a dusty school of thought buried in ancient ruins. It's a battle-tested blueprint for emotional dominance. It's the art of responding instead of reacting, of commanding respect through presence rather than persuasion. Through Stoicism quotes from Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Epictetus, you gain daily Stoic lessons to shield your heart from manipulation and build a life governed by your inner discipline, not external chaos. If you ever wondered what is Stoicism and how it could possibly help you win the invisible battles of modern relationships, this journey will shatter everything you thought you knew. Because heartbreak isn't about who hurt you. It's about who you allowed to have power over your mind. And once you reclaim that power, no woman, no rejection, no emotional storm will ever conquer you again. As we dive deeper into this exploration of ancient wisdom and modern Stoicism, you'll see exactly how emotional chaos is the first trap, and why mastering yourself is the only way to outplay the games they don't even realize they're playing. Emotional chaos is not accidental. It's the environment where most men lose and women test without even realizing it. When you operate without mastering your emotional discipline, you step straight into the battlefield with no armor. Women are not evil for creating emotional storms, but understand this: nature has wired them to seek emotional intensity, to subconsciously test the stability of the man standing before them. If you react impulsively to every shift in her tone, every slight withdrawal of attention, or every sudden wave of coldness, you confirm what she feared most. You are easily swayed, you are emotionally fragile. And once that confirmation sets in, attraction begins to crumble. This is why mastering the Stoic vision is essential. Modern Stoicism teaches that your emotions should be like a deep ocean, unshaken by surface storms. Marcus Aurelius said it best in his Meditations: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When you embody discipline, not just when things are easy, but when the world around you feels like it's spinning out of control, you become the rarest type of man, a man who cannot be manipulated, a man who inspires trust without begging for it. Emotional chaos becomes irrelevant to you because you no longer seek validation within it. You begin to see that drama is bait, and your Stoic detachment is the shield that lets the bait rot untouched. The secret is not to suppress your feelings, but to dominate your reactions so thoroughly that even when tested, you remain an immovable force. Daily Stoic practices such as mindful breathing, reframing adversity, and journaling your triggers are the daily battles that forge unbreakable discipline. Women are naturally drawn to men who can offer emotional certainty amidst uncertainty, because such men represent survival, protection, and adventure combined. Now ask yourself, in a world where emotional storms rage daily, are you the oak tree standing firm, or the leaf blown away by the first gust of wind? Because as we move forward, you'll see exactly how the first real move toward mastering her mind games begins not with analyzing her actions, but with building an unshakable fortress within yourself. And the next step is understanding the timeless Stoic principles that have protected the minds of warriors for millennia. You cannot withstand emotional chaos unless you have internal armor forged by timeless principles. The warriors of ancient times knew this well, And so did the masters of Stoicism. To shield your heart, you must first recognize what is within your control and what is not, a core teaching of Stoic philosophy. You cannot control her mood swings, her mind games, her emotional volatility, but you can absolutely control your internal reactions, your frame, and your state of mind. Epictetus taught that freedom begins the moment we take responsibility for what is within us and release attachment to external outcomes. This is not just theory, it is the foundation of emotional invincibility. Imagine standing before a storm with complete serenity, because you know that no matter how hard it rages, it cannot enter you. Modern Stoicism calls you to cultivate this power daily, not occasionally. By following the daily Stoic mindset, you train yourself to expect turbulence and greet it with calm certainty. One of the most profound Stoicism quotes reminds us, "It's not things that disturb us, but our judgments about them. A woman's emotional test is only painful if you judge it as an attack instead of recognizing it as a mirror revealing your own internal instability." This is why Stoicism 101 insists you must develop indifference to both praise and blame, to attraction and rejection. The heart shielded by Stoic wisdom does not become cold, it becomes wise. It still loves deeply, but never at the cost of its center. Ancient wisdom teaches us that a true man of value does not negotiate his self-respect for fleeting emotional highs. He does not chase the validation of a woman to complete him. He becomes complete first. And from that place of wholeness, he invites others to join his journey, not to fill a void, but to add to an already powerful existence. In the next part, we will dive even deeper into how women unconsciously test your strength and why responding stoically to these tests is not just desirable, it is essential if you want to be the man she respects, desires, and cannot manipulate. Now that you understand the necessity of building an inner fortress, it's time to recognize the subtle ways women will test that fortress, often without even realizing it. These tests are not acts of cruelty, they are nature's mechanism to reveal whether a man's emotional discipline is real or merely a performance. A test might come as a delayed reply, a small disrespect, a sudden withdrawal of affection, or a playful provocation designed to see if you lose your composure. Many men fail at this stage because they confuse these moments as personal attacks, reacting impulsively with anger, neediness, or frantic pursuit. But a man rooted in Stoic philosophy sees beyond the surface. He understands that the test is not about her, it's about him. Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. A woman's emotional fluctuation is not your enemy, your lack of self-mastery is. When you respond with calm, unshakable presence, you communicate something far deeper than words ever could. I am the mountain, not the leaf. Modern Stoicism teaches that emotional discipline is not about repression, but mastery. It is about maintaining your chosen frame regardless of external storms. Daily Stoic practices help you anchor your mind so tightly that no temporary behavior from a woman can pull you off center. It's a game of spiritual gravity. The man with the greater emotional mass always pulls the other into his orbit. If you collapse under the first sign of resistance, you reveal weakness. But if you remain grounded, detached from needing a specific outcome, you reveal strength. Women are wired to seek out this strength because it signals safety and leadership. It's not about domination, it's about presence. It's about embodying the Stoic vision that commands respect without ever demanding it. As we move forward, we will explore how Marcus Aurelius Meditations provide even more lethal tactics for mastering your emotions in the heat of her mind games, and how embracing these life lessons will forever change the way you navigate relationships. Understanding the purpose behind a woman's emotional tests sets the stage, but mastering your inner response demands a higher standard. And for that, we turn to one of the greatest minds in history, Marcus Aurelius. In his timeless work, Marcus didn't write for fame. He wrote as a form of self-discipline, to remind himself daily of the truths that would anchor him against chaos, betrayal, and internal weakness. His meditations are not ancient relics, they are a living guide for any man navigating emotional warfare today. In one of the most powerful Stoicism quotes, Marcus wrote, You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When you are faced with a woman's unpredictable moods, subtle provocations, or emotional withdrawals, remember you cannot control her behavior, but you can command your reaction. Modern Stoicism draws heavily from these teachings, urging you to develop an unbreakable inner citadel that no disappointment or manipulation can breach. By practicing daily Stoic principles rooted in Marcus Aurelius Meditations, you learn to pause between stimulus and response, to choose your action deliberately instead of being yanked around by primitive emotional impulses. What is Stoicism, if not the relentless pursuit of self-mastery against external temptations and internal fears? Happiness, in the true Stoic sense, comes not from securing outcomes, but from aligning yourself with virtue, courage, and emotional clarity. Marcus understood that the man who governs himself is freer than the king who rules others. His wisdom is a roadmap for transforming every emotional test into an opportunity for growth. When you apply this Stoic vision, you stop seeing her mind games as threats and start viewing them as valuable feedback loops that reveal where your emotional discipline still needs sharpening. The man who masters himself makes himself irresistible not through tricks or manipulation, but through the sheer gravity of his presence. As we step into the next crucial phase, we'll examine the hidden signs that a woman's feelings are shifting and how understanding when someone loses love for you, they will first do these two things, allows you to respond not with fear, but with Stoic grace and unstoppable power. Armed with the Stoic insights of Marcus Aurelius, you now possess the lens to view emotional shifts without panic. And one of the greatest emotional shifts you must be prepared for is when a woman's affection begins to wane. When someone loses love for you, they will first do two things, and recognizing them without emotional collapse is the true test of your Stoic training. The first sign is emotional distance. Conversations that once flowed naturally become forced. Her energy is no longer warm and inviting, but cold and indifferent. This is not an accident, it is an unconscious withdrawal of emotional investment, a way her instincts tell her the connection is dying. The second sign is subtle disrespect. It may start small, a dismissive tone, an eye roll, a delay in replying, or small betrayals of loyalty and attention. Most men either ignore these signs in desperate hope or react in anger, both of which destroy attraction even faster. But the man rooted in Stoic philosophy remains observant, calm, and detached. Modern Stoicism teaches that awareness without immediate reaction is power. When you spot these signs, you do not beg for validation. You do not plead for attention. You accept reality with grace. You realign your focus on yourself, and you walk with dignity if necessary. Stoicism quotes often remind us the obstacle is the way. Losing her affection is not a curse, it is an opportunity to reclaim your energy and refocus on your highest self. By following daily Stoic practices, you train your mind to anticipate emotional loss without letting it dictate your self-worth. Discipline in these moments is what separates the fleetingly admired from the eternally respected. Ancient wisdom teaches that a man who clings to love born from neediness builds his house upon sand, while a man who offers love from fullness builds upon rock. As we now journey deeper into the heart of emotional mastery, it's time to call upon another titan of Stoic thought, Seneca, and explore how his ruthless clarity about letting go will become your most lethal tool in mastering the heart game. The emotional detachment you need when love fades is not born out of bitterness, but out of clarity, and no one teaches this clarity better than Seneca. After recognizing the two signs that love is slipping away, the next move is critical. You must let go with ruthless self-respect, not desperation. Seneca, one of the sharpest minds in Stoic philosophy, reminds us that attachment to impermanent things is the root of unnecessary suffering. In his writings, he emphasized that true happiness is found in internal mastery, not in clinging to external conditions that are destined to change. Modern Stoicism echoes this wisdom. Emotional resilience is built not by avoiding pain, but by embracing reality as it is, unfiltered and uncorrupted by wishful thinking. When you sense her emotional withdrawal or experience subtle disrespect, You must embody the ancient wisdom that teaches release without resentment. Holding on to a dying love is like grasping a burning ember. It only prolongs your suffering. Daily Stoic reflections guide you to see that letting go is not weakness. It is strength in its purest form. Life lessons rooted in Stoicism 101 demand that you love deeply but never allow your peace to be held hostage. If she no longer values your presence, you must value yourself enough to walk away without bitterness. This is the ultimate demonstration of inner power, a silent declaration that your soul cannot be bargained or begged for. Epictetus reinforced this in his teachings, insisting that we should never attach our happiness to anything beyond our control. When you release her without malice, you liberate yourself. You become the man whose dignity, purpose, and mission are his first loves. Everything else is a beautiful addition, not a desperate necessity. As we continue, you'll see how Epictetus took this principle even further, crafting a ruthless, empowering rule that will allow you to maintain control over your mind no matter how fierce the emotional games become. If Seneca taught you how to let go with grace, Epictetus arms you with a ruthless rule to ensure you never lose yourself again. Control what you can, ignore what you cannot. This teaching is the ultimate weapon against emotional chaos, against the mind games that seek to pull you off center. Epictetus lived as a slave, enduring humiliations few men could fathom, yet he became one of the freest minds in history. His Stoic philosophy teaches that your true power lies not in controlling people or outcomes, but in mastering your own perceptions and actions. Modern Stoicism embraces this fierce independence, reminding you daily that surrendering your emotions to external events is a choice you must refuse to make. When a woman tests you, withdraws, provokes, or even leaves, your frame must remain unshaken. Your happiness, your self-worth, and your purpose must be fortified by internal discipline, not dependent on her affection. Daily Stoic practices like journaling, meditative reflection, and internal dialogues are designed to train this muscle until it becomes second nature. When you embody this principle, you transform into a force that no disappointment can dismantle. Stoicism quotes remind us again and again, it's not events themselves that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. If you interpret her rejection as a reflection of your value, you suffer. If you interpret it as an opportunity to refocus on your mission and standards, you rise. Discipline becomes your shield, your sword, your salvation. This is the core of Stoicism 101 and one of the most critical life lessons any man can master. Happiness is no longer held hostage by another's behavior. It is forged from within, crafted through daily choices to focus only on what is yours to command. Ancient wisdom hands you the key. You either unlock your emotional freedom with it or remain imprisoned by your illusions. As we move into the next chapter, you'll discover how building unbreakable emotional discipline isn't just a theory, it's a daily battle that demands conscious practice. And it's the foundation for becoming the kind of man who leads his heart instead of being led by it. The realization that you control your interpretations is only the beginning. True transformation requires turning that knowledge into an unbreakable daily practice. Emotional discipline is not built through occasional effort or selective calmness, it's forged in the fires of everyday tests, small and large. Modern Stoicism teaches that without consistent training, your mind will default back to its impulsive, reactive programming, the same programming that gets manipulated, triggered, and ultimately broken by emotional games. Daily Stoic rituals are the training grounds, starting your morning by setting intentions rooted in Stoic philosophy, journaling victories and failures at night without self-pity, practicing mindfulness when provoked, reframing hardships as training opportunities rather than unfair punishments. These are the disciplines that separate a Stoic man from a slave to his feelings. Marcus Aurelius' Meditations weren't written because he was immune to emotion. They were written because he battled emotion daily and knew that without deliberate practice, even an emperor could fall prey to internal chaos. Epictetus emphasized that freedom demands effort. No man drifts to greatness by accident. Discipline becomes the architecture of your soul. each action reinforcing your ability to choose reason over reaction. Ancient wisdom shows us that the price of emotional mastery is daily labor, and the reward is true resilience, the ability to face rejection, betrayal, and loss without crumbling. When someone loses love for you, when a woman tests your patience, when life hits you with unforeseen challenges, it's your daily discipline, not a motivational quote or temporary burst of strength, that determines your fate. Happiness rooted in daily Stoic practice is not fragile. It is immune to external turbulence. Life lessons from Stoicism 101 remind us that control over small emotions prepares you for the big storms. Discipline isn't about being emotionless. It's about commanding your emotions instead of being commanded by them. Now, as we move into the final phase, you will see how Stoic mastery doesn't just protect you, it transforms heartbreak into power, turning personal losses into the greatest catalysts for your unstoppable evolution. The real victory of emotional discipline is not mere survival, it is transformation. Stoic philosophy was never about enduring life with gritted teeth. It was about transcending it, about turning suffering into power and heartbreak into the foundation of true happiness. Ancient wisdom shows us that every pain properly faced becomes a stepping stone to greatness. When a woman tests you, when love fades, when emotional storms rage, the man anchored in daily Stoic principles does not just endure, he evolves. He does not retreat into bitterness or resentment, he rises into a higher version of himself. Modern Stoicism teaches that the loss of something you thought you needed reveals the freedom you were too afraid to claim. By mastering your responses, by enforcing your discipline, by committing daily to the Stoic vision, you transform emotional chaos into inner peace. Marcus Aurelius reminds us in his Meditations that life is opinion. Change your opinion and you change your life. What is Stoicism if not the art of reframing adversity as opportunity? When someone loses love for you, it is not a death sentence, it is a summons to rediscover your mission, your value, your essence. It is the beginning of a new era where your happiness is no longer outsourced to external approval, but built internally through unshakable principles. Life lessons from Stoicism 101 guide you to see every loss not as a wound, but as a forge, heating and hammering your character into something extraordinary. The daily Stoic practice of reflection, emotional management, and purposeful action becomes your weapon and your shield. You stop living reactively and start leading yourself intentionally. Happiness, true happiness, is not the absence of pain, it is the presence of purpose, discipline, and self-respect. As you embody this modern Stoicism, you become immune to games, manipulation, and emotional sabotage. You become the man who commands his life rather than begging for a place in someone else's. And now, standing on this foundation of Stoic strength, we conclude with the ultimate realization that mastering the heart game is not about defeating her, it's about mastering yourself so thoroughly that no game can ever touch your peace again.